Hello everybody, so today I want to attempt to show you how to use the switch node with the copy to points node in order to randomize objects on a bunch of points. So let me try this. It's a little more complicated, but let me try to explain how this is done. So first of all, I'm going to need to use my objects again. So let's do what we did in the previous lesson. I'll create a sphere. I'll also create a cube. I will create a platonic solid, I think we had. Yeah, this one here, okay. And I'll create a second platonic and we'll make this a octahedron. There we go. I'm guessing that has 8 sides then. I'm also going to add some color to these just to define them a little bit more. So let's make this one maybe a kind of yellow color. Yeah, let's have that one. This one can be like a green color. This one can be a blue color. And this one here can be a red color. So that one, there we go. All right, all done. All right, finished. No, of course, there's more to it than that. So now I have to create my points in where I want to add these objects to. So let's do that quickly by creating a grid. Okay, happy days. And there's my, let's get that, there's my grid. I think I want to also put on my wireframe on there so I can see it better. And really I'm just interested in these points. So we've got 100 points on here as it's a 10 by 10 grid. All right, so let's see what else I can do with this. First of all, let's just, I think, add the copy to points node. Now these are all nodes that I think I've covered before, so if you're not sure what some of them do, you can always go back through some of the tutorials previously and see what they do. But let's first of all just add this sphere to here and this to the grid, and there we go. Let's turn off this, I think. Okay, and I've now got all of my happy objects on there. Brilliant. But I can see that there's something going on. I can only have one specific object. There's the boxes. Oops. There's the platonic, and there's the second platonic object. All right, they're a little bit large, but I can make them smaller in a bit. Or maybe I can just make the grid actually a little bit bigger. So maybe let's make that 12 by 12, even more maybe, 16 by 16. Okay, we're kind of getting there. All right, let's try it again with the box, see what that looks like. All right, now let's say I want to randomize these and I want them all to be each point to just select any one of these 4. Now this is where it can get a little bit tricky. Now let's take a look at the switch. We'll add our switch node. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember how to do this. Select the 4. Move it all onto the switch. Now I have 4 in the switch and I'm going to add this to here into the copy to points. And now if I want to change them, I can just use this switch node. But of course, where do I randomize it? I can't. There's no button here to help me randomize that. And the reason is that I need to randomize this attribute first of all on these points in this grid here. All right. I wonder if I can actually make this just points. It might make it easier. Let's see if that works. It does. Okay, so I'm just going to make this points really for display purposes, just so you can see that the points are on there and not the polygons as well. All right, so now let's look at how to randomize this. So I'm going to randomize, attribute randomize I'm going to use. I'm going to do this rather than vex this time because it's a little bit quicker this way, I believe. All right, and with this I'm going to create an attribute. I'm just going to call this object, and because there is 1, 2, 3, 4, the minimum value is 0, so it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. I need to make this max value 3. All right, And so it's now going to randomize between these 1, 2, 3, 4. But when I go back here, I still will see I have nothing. And that is because I now need to use something called a loop. I'm going to use a for each point loop. Let's add that here. Happy days. And I want to add this to the second point because I want it to run over all of the points. And if you remember, the points are in this little network over here. And I'm going to add this in the second because this is the points in here. This is just the objects in this side. And then I'm going to add this here to the copy to points. Let's see if we're getting anywhere. Still nothing. So now I've got this loop which is going to run over every point, but it's going to check this switch. Again, I'm still getting the same as before. That's because I need to put in an expression into this select point. I need to let it connect to here and select whichever number I've got in this attribute, so whatever value I have in the object attribute. It needs to register it here and copy that onto the point. Sounds a little tricky, and it took me a few times to do this in order to get my head around it. You might have to do the same, but let's first of all take a look at this. So I'm going to use something called a point expression, and I'll do this so it's point and then just a bracket, and then I've got some information here. The surface node, which is basically the location of the node that I want to go to. It's giving me the point number, the attribute that I want, and the index that I want. Now the index is real basic. That is basically 0, 1, and 2. So say if you had a vector, say you had a color, for example, the 0 would be red, number 1 would be green, and number 2 would be blue. Okay. In this case, I don't think it really matters. I can just use the index 0 because I've only got 1 point, right? 1 point value per point. Goodness me, Ian, get this right. Okay, so let's first of all start with this surface node. And the surface node I want to use is going to be this one because I still have this object information here. So I'm going to do that. So let's go to point. I know that as I'm looking for a location, I need to use a string value. So I'm going to open this with a string. And I'm going to just add in this information. So let's have the for, and it pops up here, which is nice, a little helper with me. I'll double click on that. I will close that off. And now I'm on to the next part, which is the point number. In this particular case, I'm just going to put in ptnum, which will run over all the points. I think I could also put in 0.0 there. But anyway, let's use the ptnum for now, which attribute point number. Let's go to the next part, and now if you remember rightly, I'm looking for the attribute name, and the attribute name is right in here. It's there, it's object. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's put in the object. This again is a string. It's a word, so let's use a string. And the value here is going to be 0. Let's see what happens. Hey, there we go. So now I've got all of my objects all randomized on here. I like that. All right, so if you have any questions, please let me know. All right, guys, you have a great day.